Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Myth. So, Tarek and the continuing series is at an analog in your pocket. Are you just happy to see me? And we have some good news. Last week, the Simpsons core went public for Analogue Pocket, bringing you 3 amazing Konami arcade games to the handheld, and you don't have to be a Hotego beta member to enjoy them, although you definitely should. You get a lot of stuff in advanced previews. So we're going to be talking about the core today, the games that run on it, some of the settings, and just how to get you started playing these, because it's absolutely incredible to have these 3 games over on Analogue Pocket. They're some of the best stuff that Konami's ever done, in my opinion. Now there's 3 games that run on the core, but I think for the most part everyone's going to be mostly interested in The Simpsons. This is one of Konami's most successful arcade beat-em-up games of all time, and it's a game that pretty much everyone remembers from back in the day. The nostalgia for this game runs deep, and it is a ton of fun. I don't think it's Konami's best beat-em-up of all time, but I do still really enjoy it, and the implementation here over on Analogue Pocket is absolutely great. Now, it's not like these are uncommon arcade boards. If you go on eBay right now, you can buy these things all day long, but it's a lot better here because it doesn't cost that much money. Now, to make sure you have all the cores and the files on your Analogue Pocket, just go ahead and run Pocket Updater. Just usually do update all, so you get everything that's happened since the last time you watched this video, and all of the cores as well as the files for the games will come down ready for you to play. Just be aware there are alternative ROMs, the 2-player version of this game, and I'll explain that in just a bit, because the one that comes down on Analogue Pocket, player 1 is always going to be Marge, which is not a bad thing, but I know you guys are going to be wanting to play this game in a different way, being able to select your characters. But this is just such a fun game, and it's so good to have it here on Analogue Pocket. It makes for the perfect portable game. So many of the arcade cores are what I really play on Pocket, because when I'm traveling around and want to play a game for 20-25 minutes, the arcade side of things definitely has me covered. And the implementation here on the core that Hotego's done seems to be absolutely perfect to my eyes. Now, like I said earlier, this is going to be the 4-player version of the game. If you want to play a different version, you're going to go into Load Arcade Game into Alternatives. Just be aware that you need to add the files for the alternatives yourself. They don't come down with Pocket Downloader or Updater. You'll see here I removed the file so I could show you the error, missing ROM ID 1. If you see that, that means you don't have the alternative ROMs for the game, and you need to manually add them to your SD card. Once you do that, you can pick any version of the game you want, including the 2-player version, which will give you the character select. But again, this just looks so good on my dock. All of the color vibrancy, all of the actual graphics are coming across so well. You'd be hard pressed to know this wasn't the original arcade PCB. That is how good Hotego and his team do when they make these cores. His team has just absolutely been killing it in like the last month or so, and a lot of those cores that you guys have been waiting to become public are now here today. All of the graphics are aligned, everything looks good. The scrolling on the Krusty Balloon here, as well as the scaling, looks correct as well. There really isn't anything in this that I see to be an issue, and the best part is because it is the 4-player version, you can have a game night, pop your Analogue Pocket into a dock, start connecting some controllers, and have a 4-player absolute fun time playing this, because pretty much everyone in the room, I'm sure, is going to remember having played this game. So it is here today. If you want to play The Simpsons, just go ahead and update your Pocket, and you'll be 100% good to go. But it's not just The Simpsons that comes over. There's other games on the core, 3 in total, and Parodius here is just one of my favorite shmups from Konami of all time. This might be my personal favorite game on the core. It is great to have something like this on Pocket, because again, an original arcade PCB, easy to find, definitely a lot less portable. And if you've never played Parodius before, I can't recommend this game enough. It's a super fun, competent horizontal shmup that has an absolute metric crap ton of character involved in it. This game is just charming and unique, although of the 3 cores, there's definitely maybe still a bug or 2 here that needs to be ironed out, where some of the sprites come up on screen, mostly for the boss characters. They seem to wrap a little bit more than I remember them doing on original arcade hardware. But short of that, this is another game that you can play from start to finish, and you're going to have a ton of fun with. Just be aware that unlike The Simpsons and Vendetta, the other game on this core, this one, when you die, it really makes a difference. You can't just credit feed Parodius. You need to get better at the game and not hit the ceiling like I just did. But this game also has one of my favorite Konami soundtracks of all time, and the audio quality coming out of this core sounds spectacular as well. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds. I'll come back and show you more Parodius and the 3rd game that's now available on the core to all of the public. But enjoy, because it is good. sounds awesome coming out of the core, but do be aware that these cores are going to have options, and something like Proteus here, you can increase the amount of lives you have before you have it continued. You can also obviously remap all of your controls on all 3 of the games within the Simpsons core in and of itself, so familiarize yourself with this, add some extra lives, change the difficulty, do whatever you want, but just be aware that you do want to toggle those around if you want to change anything, because Hotego smartly always ships these cores with their default arcade board settings like they would show up out of the factory. So if you just load up the game and start playing, you'll know that you're getting the stock experience. And again, Proteus is just such a fun game. It's definitely one that I recommend to pretty much everyone. If you've never heard of this game before, definitely give it a shot, but leave me a comment down below and tell me when the last time you played a Proteus was. The entire series is absolutely awesome, and having it available for everyone on Pocket is a good time as well. But let's move over to the third game in this core, and that is going to be Vendetta. This is another Konami classic, another absolutely awesome game, and in my opinion, the more competent beat-em-up game compared to this Simpsons arcade game. Don't get me wrong, The Simpsons has a lot more nostalgia attached to it, but I think Vendetta is the better of the 2 games mechanically. But the great part is they're both absolute Hall of Fame first ballot classics, so you're getting a lot here for your money, which now that the core has gone public is absolutely zero. You just need to run Updater and you will be playing all of these games. And the implementation here seems extremely good as well. Some of the bugs that I saw when I checked this out in beta have been completely ironed out, so that you're going to get a very good experience. And again, you'll see here, this is the 4-player version of the game, so if you want different versions, just go ahead and add in those alternative ROMs to your SD card where they belong, and you'll be able to play more than one version of this game, because Konami loved releasing both 2- and 4-player versions of most of their games back in the day, especially in the beat-em-up genre. Now obviously this looks completely different than The Simpsons. It's that kind of gritty street gang beat-em-up, and it totally works for me. But again, you might like The Simpsons a little bit better. I'm assuming most people have been waiting for this core to go public for that one game specifically, but I love that the player character hits somebody so hard that they literally vomit onto the ground. This game has so much character, so much charm, and so many details. You basically see something new almost every single playthrough, and you marry that together with an awesome beat-em-up engine and some great Konami graphics, and you really can't lose on this game. My only complaint about Vendetta is the final level is one of the biggest boss gauntlets in any beat-em-up ever. But you can basically play this game exactly like you would the arcade PCB, down to the cheese strats here, where you can basically stun lock Buzzsaw here up against the cab of that truck and get a free win out of them. I always try to test some of those tricks in every single game like this, just to see if it's doing things the way I would expect them to, and on the Vendetta side of things it 100% works. This game also has an awesome soundtrack, so one more sound sample, 30 seconds this time, and I'll come back and tell you a little bit more about the core and how to enjoy it. Not that the Simpsons soundtrack is not good, but Vendetta here has some of the best music I think Konami ever put to an arcade game, so it's definitely my #1 on the core. And that's the fun part about getting these cores public. I'm sure everyone has played The Simpsons at least once in their life. I'm assuming the least amount of people will have played Proteus, but I'm assuming that Vendetta is also going to be one that a lot of you have either maybe heard of but never played or haven't heard of yet. And that's the fun part about these arcade multi-cores. One board with some changes in the core brings you pretty much every game that board could play, so getting all 3 of these games here is absolutely spectacular. And if you've never watched my channel, or if you know from watching, it's not a beat 'em up, but there's not an elevator in the game somewhere, and Vendetta 100% satisfies that requirement. So just go grab your Analogue Pocket, take the micro SD card out, run Pocket Updater, and you will have all 3 of these cores added to your Analogue Pocket. All of the game files will come down, and if you want to have any of those alternative versions of the ROMs, you are going to have to manually add them yourself. Maybe sometime in the future one of the updaters will start grabbing those alternatives, because it would be useful to not have to do it in the background. But if you run into any problems or have any questions, leave me a comment down below and I'll try to answer each and every one of you. But definitely go play these 3 games. They're some of Konami's best, and they're now available on Analogue Pocket for anyone to enjoy just by updating. Short of that, we're done, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.